Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today we are diving deep, and I mean deep, in one of the biggest gaming controversies of the year, Assassin's Creed Shadows. When Ubisoft first teased Shadows, the internet went into full-on hype mode. A Japan-set Assassin's Creed? Finally! But as soon as details dropped, excitement turned into debate, and debate turned into full-blown firestorms. From historical accuracy arguments, to accusations of forced diversity, to Japanese gamers feeling disappointed, Shadows became way more than just a game. It became a lightning rod for everything bubbling under the surface of modern gaming culture. In this video, we're covering everything. The Yasuke debate, representation versus tokenism, Japanese reactions, comparisons to Ghost of Tsushima, gameplay concerns, business backlash, and where Assassin's Creed and gaming itself might go from here. Buckle up, this is a wild one. Let's get started. The Yasuke debate, history or Hollywood. The first, and easily the biggest controversy surrounding Assassin's Creed Shadows is centered on Yasuke, one of the game's two protagonists. Now, to understand why people are arguing so passionately about this, we have to look at some background. Who was Yasuke? Yasuke was a real historical figure. In the late 1500s, a man of African descent arrived in Japan, likely brought by Portuguese Jesuit missionaries. He eventually came to the attention of Oda Nobunaga, one of Japan's most powerful warlords. Nobunaga was so impressed by Yasuke's size and strength that he made him a retainer. Some accounts even suggest Yasuke was given the title of samurai. But the actual historical record of Yasuke is extremely thin. Most sources are vague, fragmentary, and often contradictory. Some scholars argue Yasuke was little more than a bodyguard. Others suggest he may have been fully integrated into the samurai class. Ubisoft's choice. In Assassin's Creed Shadows, Yasuke isn't a side character. He's a main character. You can play as him, fully armored, wielding katana, cutting down enemies left and right. And this is where the controversy starts. The criticism. Critics argue that Ubisoft has rewritten Japanese history for the sake of modern identity politics. They say Yasuke was a historical footnote, and turning him into a larger-than-life samurai hero is disrespectful to Japanese culture and historical truth. Popular arguments include, this is historical revisionism. This is pushing a Western agenda onto Japanese history. A Japanese setting should focus on Japanese heroes, not outsiders. Especially in Japan, many gamers expressed that they felt their culture was being misrepresented for Western audiences. On Twitter or X, hashtags like #NotMySamurai trended. On Reddit, Assassin's Creed communities fractured, with heated debates between people defending the choice and those furious about it. The defense. On the other hand, defenders point out that Assassin's Creed games have always played fast and loose with history. Remember Ezio fighting Da Vinci's War Machines? Yasuke was a real figure in Japan's Sengoku period. Elevating a marginalized historical figure gives voice to stories that are often erased. They also argue that Ubisoft is telling a fictionalized story, not making a documentary. They're crafting an exciting narrative, and Yasuke's real existence gives them just enough historical license. Some fans love the idea of a black samurai protagonist, seeing it as refreshing and bold compared to the endless parade of cookie-cutter white or Japanese heroes. Historians weigh in. Interestingly, real historians are divided too. Some, like Thomas Lockley, author of African Samurai, support Ubisoft's portrayal, arguing Yasuke likely did wield swords and had an important role at Nobunaga's court. Others say that while Yasuke was certainly extraordinary, he was probably never a true samurai in the traditional sense. And Ubisoft's portrayal is pure fantasy. Next up, the deeper debate over representation. When Assassin's Creed Shadows was announced, some players cheered the inclusion of Yasuke as a meaningful step toward diversity in gaming. After all, gaming has historically been dominated by white protagonists. Introducing a black samurai in a major AAA title seemed like real progress. But not everyone saw it that way. Forced diversity. Many critics accused Ubisoft of engaging in what they call forced diversity, choosing Yasuke not because of his historical importance, but because he checked a diversity box. Common arguments included, Yasuke was chosen because he's black, not because he's the most compelling historical figure. Ubisoft is pandering to Western audiences obsessed with identity politics. True diversity comes from telling authentic stories, not inserting minorities into inappropriate contexts. Ubisoft's track record. Ubisoft has a mixed history here. On one hand, they've made efforts toward better representation in recent years, from Bayek in Assassin's Creed Origins to Cassandra in Odyssey. On the other hand, Ubisoft has been criticized for being superficial, treating diversity as a marketing tool rather than a genuine commitment. This controversy reignited those concerns. Was Yasuke an organic character choice? Or was he a corporate calculation? Perhaps the most telling reactions came not from Western audiences, but from Japanese gamers themselves. A sense of disappointment. Many Japanese players expressed confusion and frustration over Ubisoft decisions. In Japanese forums like 5CH and Twitter Japan, the sentiment was often, why is a foreigner the main samurai? Why not a native Japanese hero? This feels like a Western fantasy of Japan, not real Japan. Some went even further, suggesting that Ubisoft's portrayal was disrespectful, treating Japanese history like a playground for Western political narratives. It's important to note, Japan has different cultural norms when it comes to race and representation. Western ideals about diversity don't always resonate the same way there. Where Western audiences might see Yasuke's inclusion as a triumph, many Japanese players saw it as inauthentic. This raises a fundamental question for any Assassin's Creed game. How much historical inaccuracy is acceptable? The franchise's history with history. Assassin's Creed has never been a stickler for strict historical truth. In AC2, Ezio fights robot tanks designed by Leonardo da Vinci. In Black Flag, pirates spout 21st century ideas about freedom and democracy. In Odyssey, Cassandra takes on literal monsters from Greek mythology. Clearly, Ubisoft treats history as a canvas, not a cage. But critics argue that Shadows crosses a line, not just bending history for fun, but rewriting who is important in a nation's cultural memory. They argue that while fantasy is fine, representing real cultures carries a heavier responsibility. Separate from the historical debate, some fans have raised concerns about the actual gameplay. Combat and stealth. Early footage showed heavy, brutal combat with Yasuke, and more traditional stealth-focused gameplay with Neo, the Japanese female ninja protagonist. Some players loved the idea of a dual-style system. Others worried that the combat seemed sluggish, the stealth shallow, and the animations janky. RPG bloat. Shadows appears to continue the RPG-heavy trend seen in Odyssey and Valhalla. Skill trees, loot systems, level gating. For longtime Assassin's Creed fans, this is frustrating. Many want to return to the tighter, more focused style of the earlier games like Assassin's Creed 2 or Brotherhood. The fear is that Shadows will be another bloated 80-hour grind fest, rather than a finely crafted stealth action experience. Adding fuel to the fire, Ubisoft's business decisions around Shadows triggered another wave of anger. Pre-orders and editions. Shadows launched with multiple editions. Standard, Deluxe, Ultimate, Collectors. Each version locks away different missions, cosmetics, or early access bonuses. Players who buy the most expensive editions can start playing 3 days earlier than everyone else. Many fans see this as a shameless money grab, creating artificial FOMO and dividing the player base. Microtransactions and monetization. Ubisoft has a history of loading their games with microtransactions, XP boosts, cosmetic packs, and even powerful gear. Early signs suggest Shadows will be no different. Players are bracing for a flood of paid DLC and cosmetic MTX microtransactions. For a $70 game, this leaves a bad taste in many mouths. You can't talk about Assassin's Creed Shadows without mentioning Ghost of Tsushima. Sucker Punch's 2020 masterpiece set the bar for samurai games. beautiful, respectful portrayal of Japan. Engaging combat, stealth options, rich cultural immersion. Many players feel Shadows is trying to cash in on Tsushima's success, but without the same authenticity or reverence. Comparisons between the two games dominate online discussions. And right now, Shadows is not winning most of those comparisons. Another layer to the controversy is the question of cultural appropriation. Is Ubisoft celebrating Japanese culture, or are they exploiting it for profit? Critics argue that Ubisoft's portrayal of Japan feels shallow and stereotypical. Choosing Yasuke as the lead character warps authentic Japanese narratives. The game is more about selling a fantasy to Western audiences than respecting Japanese history. Defenders counter that Japanese culture has inspired global admiration for centuries. Storytelling across cultures can be a form of appreciation. Ubisoft is consulting Japanese historians and artists to get details right. Still, the debate rages on. Finally, the big question: what does this mean for Assassin's Creed? If Shadows succeeds financially, and it probably will, it will signal that Ubisoft's approach still works. But if it crashes and burns critically or commercially, Ubisoft might be forced to rethink. Shadows could be a turning point for the series. A brave new direction embracing diverse narratives. Or a cautionary tale about losing sight of core identity. Only time will tell. In the end, Assassin's Creed Shadows isn't just about samurai swords or stealth missions. It's about who gets to tell stories. It's about the tension between history and entertainment. It's about how global audiences view culture and representation differently. Whether you're excited, angry, or somewhere in between, one thing is clear. Assassin's Creed Shadows has ignited a conversation much bigger than gaming. And that conversation, it's only just beginning. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this deep dive, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell for more honest, thoughtful gaming content. Until next time, stay sharp and stay curious.